All right, Browns, they're up 14-3 over Vegas. Kind of what I expected, to be completely honest. The Browns defense has just been so dominant, kind of like the Dolphins game a few weeks ago at home, where the Browns defense was just so dominant that it really didn't matter what the offense did because they were getting so many shots at scoring drives. And that's kind of what's happening here. Now, I will say Shedeur Sanders does look a little bit better than Dillon Gabriel right now, but this is also, you got to remember, this is just one game. So you got to see what Shedeur Sanders does in the second half, because that interception was really bad. His interception, I think he thought that the guy that picked it off, I think he thought that he was going to go with the running back out of the backfield and go into the flat, but he baited him. It was like like when you play Madden and you're playing one of the linebackers and you kind of like, you're in zone coverage, but then you follow a wide receiver there and you're like out of your zone. That's kind of what it was. And Sanders got baited, and the Browns forced a 3-and-out right after that. So it wasn't a big deal. But all of the Browns' turnovers have not resulted in any points, which is a really good thing. This defense has been really great today, which is kind of what we expected. This Browns defense, like bad record or not, is still one of the best defenses in the NFL. The problem was the offense and not being able to have, systematic drives consistently. So, it's nothing special. Sanders has been able to throw the ball downfield a lot more and a lot, more confidently than Dillon Gabriel has. Accurately was the word I'm trying to think of. He's been able to throw the ball downfield more accurately than Dillon Gabriel has. And it's not as, it looks more effortless for Shedeur Sanders than it did for Dillon Gabriel. When Gabriel was throwing the ball down the field, it was like wobbly and it was basically a duck. And Sanders, it's just a lot better. Now, I will say Gabriel probably does have a little bit more of the, quarterback management skills, or better quarterback management skills that, Sanders has got to work on. And that's okay, because at the end of the day, Shedeur Sanders is a rookie. And I get so is Dillon Gabriel. But Dillon Gabriel has also had like 6 years in college. So he's gotten with more practice, if you have more experience, the better you are with those things. So I think that Shedeur Sanders was the better quarterback prospect coming into the draft last year. I still think he is now. And I honestly think it's kind of obvious that he is now. Is he a good enough quarterback for the Browns to not draft a quarterback in the upcoming draft? I don't know. We got to see. That's going to be the big question right now. Now, if Sanders is able to, do this consistently against better quality teams, because we all know the one thing that Kevin Stefanski does not like is turnovers and interceptions specifically. Jameis Winston was the better quarterback out of, Bailey Zappi and DTR, but he was the one throwing the ball to the other team a lot more than either one of those quarterbacks last year. So what did he do? He benched Jameis Winston, put in DTR, and eventually Bailey Zappi. So, the one thing Kevin Stefanski does not like is turnovers. And he is more willing to deal with a quarterback that cannot move the ball than willing to deal with a quarterback that just throws a lot of interceptions. And right now, if Sanders can keep the turnover stuff, under control and not have 3-4 interception games like Winston had last year, then he can, as long as the Browns are, staying competitive and Sanders shows a little bit more signs of life, then the Browns won't tank. They'll probably still have a top 10 pick, but they will be not in the running for, a Fernando Mendoza or Ty Simpson or Dante Moore or anybody like that. But Sanders does look good right now. I do get that this is Vegas and we shouldn't really expect much in this game. The Browns defense, though, looks amazing like it always is. Mason Graham. And I know rookie defensive tackles don't normally have a lot of, they're not jumping out to you on the stat sheet. But when you have a Mason Graham that's on, right next to Myles Garrett, that's taking away a double team or a triple team that Myles Garrett could have, and putting a guy on single coverage like Mason Graham is a mistake. Don't believe me? Go watch the Ohio State-Michigan game last year. So, that's always good to have a threat especially at the defensive tackle position like Mason Graham, who, although he's not, making the sacks or the TFLs or anything like that, he's always going to be a threat to do that, which also, takes some of the pressure off of Miles, because Miles is dealing with double teams every single play and chips from the running back every single play. So if Mason Graham can do that every single week consistently, then we're going to have one of the better defensive lines in the league for years and years to come. Especially because this is Mason Graham's first year and he's already looking like this, which is really good, because normally defensive tackles take like a year or two to get used to the NFL system, but the fact that Mason Graham is succeeding like he is right now is a really good sign. And that really, really sucks. Not for the Browns fan in me, but the Ohio State fan in me that hated the team up north, or hates the team up north. And, was really mad that when Aiden Hutchinson made the game-winning sack earlier today, because of course it had to be Aiden Hutchinson. But that's another thing for another day. Might be this week even. Stay tuned. So, anyways, Browns up against the Raiders. Geno Smith does not look very great. Ashton Jeanty looks really good, and he is their running back for the future as long as he stays healthy. But, there's only so much he can do as a rookie, and especially as a running back with an offensive line that is being dominated up front like Vegas is right now. But this is only the first half. We play 2 halves for a reason. So I will see you at the end of the game, hopefully with the Browns W.